In today's discussion on HTML, we will be continuing with looking to some more tags in addition to some advanced features of HTML, because everything connected with website development or web pages ultimately gets connected to HTML. If HTML is not existing, then most probably we will not be able to develop websites also. So today we shall look into some more features of HTML, including some tags that are treated as advanced relatively. And as you know, every website is having one important thing, that is color. The color combination of the website puts a major impact on the visitor. Sometimes if the color combination is not good, but the content is very good, still the visitors go away from such websites. However, if the color combination is good, then visitors, they go through the website and take some informed decision. Some color combinations, they even lead to headache of some visitors. So it is essential that whenever we design websites, we need to be very careful about each and everything. Any minor lapse will also drive away the customers. So if we look at the tags related to the colors, in HTML, colors can be specified using RGB values, HEX, that is hex values, HSL values, RGBA values and HSLA values. There are three div elements, that is three div elements that have their backgrounds color set with RGB, hex and HSL values, which I am reading out. For example, let me say we are using RGB to set the colors. Then we say RGB and we put the red, green and blues values in our RGB parameters. So RGB followed by brackets and within the brackets 255, 99, 71. If we consider the same thing from hex perspective, we use hash RR6347. If we consider the same with HSL, then we say HSL in brackets 9, 100%, 64%. So the div elements can be used in a different manner, because for example, if we consider RGBA, then it becomes RGBA in brackets 255, 99, 71, 0, 5. Again, if we consider HSLA, it becomes HSLA in brackets 9, 100%, 64%, 0.5. So these two div elements have their background color set with RGBA and HSLA values, which adds an alpha channel to the color, and we have 50% transparency. So there are several ways of doing color setting to the web pages. Now once we come to the code, let us see how we can write code for the same color combinations. Whenever such things come into the picture, automatically that comes into the picture is the style tag, because we set the background color using the style tag, and then definitely the color combinations will also fall under its purview. So let us consider it an example. H1 style equal to background color colon RGB 255, 91, 71. Then let us consider the hex style. Here we say H1 style is equal to background color colon hash FF6347 semicolon double quotes and closing H1. Again, let us consider another type. Here we say H1 style equal to background color colon HSL 9, 100%, 64%. Now see the fourth alternative. H1 style equal to background color colon RGBA 255, 99, 71, 0.5. So the basically what we have done is, whatever we have seen earlier, we are putting them in the style tag under H1. So all these things get applied to header 1, I mean heading 1. If we are using it for any other heading like H2 to H6, the concern will get affected from the perspective of the style and the background color. So another last option is H1 style equal to background color colon HSLA 9, 100%, 64%, 0.5. Now let us see about the RGB and RGBA colors. An RGB color value represents red, green and blue light sources. An RGBA color value is an extension of RGB with an alpha channel which indicates the opacity. If you consider RGB color values, in HTML a color can be specified as an RGB value using the formula RGB in brackets red, green, blue. So each parameter of a red, green and blue defines the intensity of the color with a value between 0 and 255. This means that there are 256 into 256 into 256 possible colors, which is a very big number. For example, RGB 25500 is displayed as red because red is set to its highest value 255 and the other two green and blue are set to 0. Now suppose it is RGB 255 then it becomes green, and if it is RGB 255 it becomes blue, and any intermediate values they lead to another color because it is mix up of the any of the colors of these three but not just one. So if we consider an RGB 255, 99, 71, we get a different color combination and we have a different output color. So we can have any number of combinations of RGBs. We can have an RGB 60, 179, 113, RGB 238, 130, 238, it comes as a pink. Then we have RGB 255, 165, 0, it's yellow. Then we have RGB 106.90.205, which comes to a color which is nearer to the violet. So whatever color you want, the values of RGB are to be set accordingly. A hexadecimal color is specified with hash RRGGBB, where the RR red, GG green and BB blue hexadecimal integers specify the components of the color. Now let us look at the hex color values. In HTML, a color can be specified using a hexadecimal value in the form hash RRGGBB, where RR is red, GG is green and BB is blue, and these are hexadecimal values between 00 and FF, which are equivalent to decimal 0 to 255. For example, hash FF0000 is displayed as red because red is set to its highest value FF and the other two green and blue are set to 00. So we can always experiment with different combinations of the values to look at the output colors that are coming. For example, we can try for RR red equal to FF, then 63 that is green and 47 for blue, and check what value we are getting. We get a color something like it's not exact orange but something nearer to the orange. Similarly, we can have a hash 3CB371 which comes to the red. Similarly, we can have hash FFA500 which comes to yellow. Then we have hash 4 zeros followed by FF which comes to a violet. So like that there are many other combinations. We can have hash 6A5ACD which is not violet but something coming nearer to that. So like that for each color we can have different set of values. And let us see what are these HSL and HSLA colors. HSL stands for hue, saturation and lightness. HSLA color values are an extension of HSL with an alpha channel, that is opacity. In HTML, a color can be specified using hue, saturation and lightness in the form HSL, and in the brackets put the values for hue, saturation and lightness. Hue is the degree on the color wheel from 0 to 360. 0 is the red, 120 is the green and 240 is the blue. Saturation is a percentage value. 0% means a shade of gray and 100% is the full color. Lightness is also a percentage value. 0% is black and 100% is white. Now let us see HCl color values. Here what we can do is in HCSL we say hue, saturation and lightness, which we have already mentioned earlier. So suppose hue is a degree on the color wheel from 0 to 360, 0 is red and 120 is green and 240 is blue. Saturation is a percentage value, 0% means a shade of gray and 100% is the full color. Lightness is also a percentage value, 0% is black and 100% is white. Experiment we can by using different values will have different colors. So basically if you know the color which you want, accordingly we can go for a combination of these three elements, namely hue, saturation and lightness, and get the desired color. But this is a very difficult option. The best option is to directly select a color and click on the web page, or actually code generators are there. When you select the color, the concerned code automatically generated. Saturation can be described as the intensity of a color. 100% is pure color, no shades of gray. 50% is 50% gray, but you can still see the color. 0% is completely gray, you can no longer see the color. So this is what is meant by saturation. Now let us see what is CSS. CSS is a very important concept. It stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. Basically CSS means styles and colors. Then there are other things also which we can do. CSS is used to format the layout of a web page. With CSS you can control the color, font, the size of text, the spacing between elements, and how elements are positioned and laid out, what background images or background colors are to be used, different displays for different devices and screen sizes, and much more. The word cascading means that a style applied to a parent element will also apply to all children elements within the parent. So if you set the color of the body text to blue, all headings, paragraphs and other text elements within the body will also get the same color unless we specify something else. We can use CSS in many ways. It can be added to HTML documents in three ways primarily, that is inline, internal and external. In inline, by using the style attribute inside HTML elements. Internal means it can be done by using a style element in the head section. Then external by using a link element to link to an external CSS file. The most common way to add CSS is to keep the styles in external CSS files. However, we can also use inline and internal styles because it may be easier to demonstrate and easier also to learn. Then we have inline CSS. In the case of inline CSS, we use it to apply a unique style to a single HTML element. An inline CSS uses the style attributes of a HTML element. Let us see an example. For example, H1 style is equal to color colon blue, a blue heading. So a blue heading, it is the title of the heading and it is H1. Now its color is set to blue as we indicated in the style tag. Now if we consider one more thing, there also the same thing, whatever you mention in your style tag becomes the color of the corresponding text. Now we have what is called internal CSS. An internal CSS is used to define a style for a single HTML page. An internal CSS is defined in the head section of a HTML page within a style element. Now first of all, see how to set the text color of all the H elements on that page to blue. Then the text color we can have all, we can also have the paragraphs to red. So the page will always be displayed with a powder blue background color. So first of all, we'll create a web page for it. We will say the document type is HTML. Then we'll start the code HTML head style. Then we put the body wherein we write that background will be a color. Then we'll have a powder to blue, it's a color, followed by H1 where we are putting a blue color. Then we have a para wherein we are putting a red color, closed by the style head and body tags. Then we put the heading, this is a heading, and the para will be, this is a paragraph, and for these two strings the above mentioned colors will get applied to. Then we have what is called external CSS. An external style sheet is used to define the style for many HTML pages. The use of an external style sheet is to add a link to it in the head section of each HTML page. So again, if you consider the document, let me say the document type is HTML, we have set it right by putting the exclamation mark, then doc type HTML. Then we have the HTML tag, head tag, then we have a link, rel is equal to style sheet, then we have href styles.css. So basically what happens is that this particular URL will point to that particular one. Then we can have a body which is called, this is heading and this is a paragraph, to which the above indicated things get applied. The external style sheet can be written in any text editor. These files must not contain any HTML code and must be saved with a .css extension. Now let us look at an example. Here suppose we have a body tag wherein we write background color colon powder blue, H1 color colon blue, and again P color colon red. So we can use all these combinations to set the colors. So if we consider the CSS colors, fonts and sizes, then what will happen is, in the case of CSS, the CSS color property defines the text color to be used, the CSS font family property defines the font to be used, the CSS font size property defines the text size to be used. So we can use all of them in an example also. Then we have what is called CSS border. The CSS border property defines a border around a HTML element. We can define a border for nearly all HTML elements. Then we have CSS padding. It is a property that defines a padding or space between the text and the border. The CSS margin property defines a margin space outside the border. For example, suppose we are using a CSS border in a margin. What can we do is, we can define them and we can write the code and we can check on the web page when this source code is run by some browser. We can always link to external CSS. External style sheets can be referenced with a full URL or with a path relative to the current web page. Then we have HTML links where we have a target attribute. By default, the linked page will be displayed in the current browser window. To change that, we must specify another target for the link. The target attribute specifies where to open the linked document. The target attribute can have any one of the values such as self, blank, parent and top. So we can use any of these elements or values and we can set them to the target attribute. We can also link our websites to email addresses. So we use the mail to tag inside the href attribute to create a link that opens the user's email program to let them send a new email. Then we can also use a button as a link. To use a HTML button as a link, we have to add some JavaScript code. JavaScript allows us to specify what happens at certain events such as a click of a button and others. We can also have some titles to the links. The title attribute specifies extra information about an element. The information is most often shown at tooltip text when the mouse moves over the consent. Then we can also have some colors to these HTML links. An HTML link is displayed in a different color depending on whether it has been visited or active or whether it is visited or not. So when we consider the HTML link colors, a link will appear in all the browsers. An unvisited link is underlined and in blue color. A visited link is underlined and in purple color. An active link is underlined and is red in color. We can change the link state colors by using the CSS. We can also create a bookmark in hypertext markup language so that readers can jump to specific parts of a web page. Bookmarks can be useful if a web page is very long. So to create the bookmark, first we have to create the bookmark, then add a link to it. When the link is clicked, the page will scroll down or go up to the location with the bookmark. So we have many examples, and in this way we can do or apply CSS also. With HTML image maps, we can also create clickable areas on an image. Now let us see what is a HTML image map. The HTML map tag defines an image map. An image map is an image with clickable areas. The areas are defined with one or more area tags. So how all these things work? The idea behind an image map is that you should be able to perform different actions depending on whether in the image you click. For example, what happens is, suppose you have an image and suppose the image is active. So if you, wherever you touch the image, then some response will be there. Okay. So in the case of image map, let me say, suppose we have an India map and we map various points to the names of the states. Suppose you touch a particular point where Delhi region is there, then a Delhi will be displayed. So basically it is an image map because it is not just an image, and it is an activated image which will display something based on the points where we are having in this particular image map. The image is inserted using the img tag. This only differences between the other images is that we must add a usermap attribute. So this particular attribute is also very important attribute. We can use any image as an image map. So if we want to create an image map, let's go ahead and do the things that are essential. First of all, look for an image. So first of all, add map element. Then the map element is used to create an image map and is linked to the image by using the required name attribute. The name attribute must have the same value as the img usemap tags. Then we have what are called areas. Here we add the clickable areas. A clickable area is defined using a area element. So if we consider a shape, then we must define the shape of the clickable area, and we can choose like any other alternative. For example, a rect, then it defines a rectangular region. Then we have circle, it defines a circular region. Then we have a poly, which indicates a polygonal region. And then we have default, which defines the entire region. So if we consider a shape of a rectangle or a rectangular shape, the coordinates for shape is equal to rect comes in pairs, one for the x-axis and one for the y-axis. So the coordinates, for example, 34, 14 is located, then 34 pixels from the left margin and 44 pixels from the top. The coordinates 270, 250 is located 270 pixels from the left margin and 350 pixels from the top. So we have enough data now to create a clickable rectangular area. So if we consider the area, then that is one which becomes clickable and will send the user to the page computer.html. So again, suppose we can select a shape circle. So to add a circle shape, first look at the coordinates of the center or the circle, and only then we will be able to define the area of the circle. Suppose the center of the circle is 337, 300. So its center is 337.300. Then we have to specify the radius, which is 44 pixels. So accordingly, we can have an image which is having a circle, and then we can activate in it so that it leads to an image map, and we can have several actions corresponding to these links. So we have enough data to even come up with a clickable circular area. We can also use JavaScript in our HTML. A clickable area can also trigger a JavaScript function. Add a click event to the area element to execute a JavaScript function. So, for example, if we let me say map name is equal to work map, area shape is equal to circle, then we have coordinates 337, 300, 44. Then we have on click my function on click. So, my function click is clearly is ready. It could run, I have to say. So, in this way, for example, suppose we are starting a script wherein we say function my function and following brackets closing brackets such as alert you clicked the coffee cup. So, in this way we can what we can do is that we can put it inside the script. So, if we have a script tag and we have a script ending tag, then we can create a function wherein we write this one sentence and leave to experiment with the JavaScript. So, there are many image tags. One is img tag, then we have map tag that is defining the image map, then we have area tag which defines a clickable area inside a image map, then we have picture tag, it defines a container for multiple image resources. So, I thank all of you for attending today's discussion on some of the advanced features of HTML, and in case you have any doubts, please mail to pvsuresh@ignou.ac.in. Thank you very much.